Hello tomato fans, today we're going to inaugurate our 2019 tomato growing season with this video, and we're looking at our usual tomato planter. And what's nice about this planter is that it's located near the house. The critters are less likely to come here because they feel uncomfortable, and it allows us to vine ripen our tomatoes here. Additionally, this is a great tomato microclimate. We get morning sun and afternoon shade. But we're not going to be growing any tomato plants this year here. In fact, we're going to have to remove this planter because we're adding on to the house, and we're still waiting to hear back from the city about our initial plans. But in the meantime, we have tomato plants that we have in pots, and then we're going to find places around our backyard to grow our tomato plants in. So this year we're gonna have to edit down the number of varieties that we can grow, and also try to grow them a little bit more differently. So in this bed previously we would pack it in and we would have our tomato plants grow a little bit more towards the edge, and then we'll train it along, and sometimes it gets into the path a little bit. But since we're expecting construction, we're gonna want this path to be as clear as possible, so we're planting our tomatoes in this bed a little bit towards the center. So that means we're going to be able to plant about 3 tomato plants here, or I should say we can only do about 1 row of tomatoes, whereas in the past we did 2 or 3 rows. These are varieties that are new to our garden this year, and every year we like to try new varieties. Last year we grew the cherry and sweet tomatoes. This year our theme is ribbed or fluted tomatoes. So these are tomatoes that have ribbed or fluted shapes. So at least 2 out of 3. So the first one is this purple Calabash. It's got a really nice oak leaf foliage structure. This one is a ribbed one, and then the other ribbed one is this Goldman's Italian American, and that's one that's new to us. And then this one is a viewer favorite, and one that I've been wanting to grow for the last few years because you guys keep telling me how great this is. So this is the Japanese black trifle tomato, and it's got a potato leaf foliage. And if you happen to notice and are wondering why we have them planted pretty much in a hole, that's because we like to grow our tomato, or we should like to plant our tomatoes deep into the ground. The roots will be happy down there, and additionally, when this plant grows taller, when we backfill, it helps with the stability of the plant, so as it gets taller, it's not going to flop around on us. Additionally, when you do that, more roots will come out, and it'll help anchor the plant some more, and also those roots are going to be able to draw in more nutrients for the plant. So you end up with very robust plants, and plants that produce quite a few tasty fruit. So normally what we'd like to do is wait till the plants are about 6 to 8 inches before planting them directly in the bed. But rather than repot these guys, we went ahead and just put them in the bed directly, and put them a little bit lower. So we'll see some other tomatoes that we've done that too. But before we go look at those guys, let's look at the other tomato seedlings that we have planted in containers. So over here we'll check out the other varieties that we're growing. So these are our standard varieties, one that I grow year after year because they're really good in the kitchen in terms of how they taste and how practical they are. We have 6 plants of the San Marzano, and this is one that I fell in love with after growing them last year. So they're going to take a regular seat in our garden. And these are backup plants of the 3 that we just looked at. So if you can recognize the foliage, this is less oak leaf. So this is the Goldman's Italian American, and then there's the purple Calabash, and then over there the potato leaf, that's the Japanese black trifle. And these other ones are our regulars. The front one is this Black Prince tomato. It's a very versatile, very climate adapted tomato. It does well in California, it does well in Massachusetts, where we happen to share our seeds, and they grow well there. This is another one that I fell in love with after last year. This is the Oxheart tomato, and it produces really large paste tomatoes. You get a couple and you're set for dinner in terms of using it for sauce and such. And right off the bat, it's pretty tall already. So we're gonna have to transplant it in the ground. So when we start our tomatoes, we start them in the 6-packs that we'll try to find a 6-pack and show you. Start them in there, and when they get their first true leaves, we go ahead and we transplant them into these, I think these are quart-sized containers. And what I like to do is I fill about half an inch of soil, an inch and an inch and a half, and then fill the soil. And what ends up happening is the soil will go all the way up to the neck of the plant, and that gets it going in terms of wanting to keep it nice and be able to develop roots that go nice and deep. So they've grown quite a bit, and in about a week or two we're going to transplant them. I think in actually a week we're going to transplant these guys. So let's go and move on. And if you're wondering what that is, that's our corn that we got in those root trainers. So we're going to swing this way and look at the Cherokee Purple. These ones we sowed much earlier in the year. I'm going to see if I can find a tag and find the date that we sowed them. I can't find it right now, so I may have to put that on the screen, because you're wondering why they're so tall compared to the other ones. So here we have one that it's growing in a cage that we're doing a product testing for, and we're going to let this guy grow multi-stem, and then we're going to grow this the way I like to grow them, which is single stem, and I like to train them up a pole. And over there is another product that we recently received for product testing, and we're going to grow those multi-stem. As an aside, that's a artichoke plant that we got a couple of nice artichokes out of, and it was really delicious. We're going to come this way now and look at the other tomatoes that we've planted directly into the bed. And these are Roma tomatoes, and these are practical standard tomatoes that I've grown year after year. And it's in this bed, and if you notice, it's also sunken down. Same reason, we're going to let them grow taller. Well, they're going to grow taller, but once they grow taller, we're going to backfill. And the reason we chose this spot is because behind it is corn, and our sunlight comes in this direction, and we want something that's short so that it doesn't block all the light from the back portion. These are special tomatoes to me because they're one of the first varieties that I grew, and the seeds are from a tomato plant that I received about 9 years ago. And so from that plant we've been saving its seed, and next year at the 10th year mark we'll talk about its significance. So we'll save that story for next year. So that's what we have growing in our garden in terms of tomatoes, and it's April the 12th, so very exciting time to have tomatoes going. And in the next video we'll just see how they do, and we'll have to figure out where we plant the rest of our tomato babies. I've got a couple ideas for the Oxheart, but the rest we'll have to find space, because this bed here with the garlic we're not going to be able to use until June, or until late June. And if you're wondering about the screens here, we're using them to keep the skunks out of our beds, because they like to dig in them and disturb things. Okay, that's going to be it for our inaugural video for tomatoes. We'll see you in the next one, and as always, thanks for stopping by.